Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday Show. Really good to have you tuned in today. This is Neil Long, live from a very sunny New Malden in southwest London. It's glorious. Two guests for you today. From time to time, I put out a shout on what we in the trade call the bulb or light bulb, known to everyone else as, and it's where all the media types and the journalists hang out, people that want to talk about their wares and all that sort of stuff and let other people in the biz know what they're doing. And I get to meet some really interesting people on there, and I found two today. So first of all, going to get our first guest on, and really looking forward to talking to her. Let's get her on. Hannah Love, Sleep Well with Hannah. There's a message.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on, especially at short notice.
No problem. Well, thank you for responding at short notice. I really appreciate it. Where are you based, first of all?
Berkshire, sunny, and it's lovely and sunny here too. Yeah.
Oh, it's absolutely glorious, isn't it?
Oh,
Now,
it makes such a difference.
doesn't it? Didn't that winter seem to go on forever? And
Yep.
now suddenly it's not dark till 8 o'clock, and it's like, yes, about time, about time. So lovely to have you on, Hannah. Sleep.
Yeah.
is I've learned recently, just by reading stuff and by my own experience, that going without sleep is actually can be dangerous. Going without sleep, can't it? I mean, sleep is one of the key things.
Absolutely. There was a recent study actually done in Australia, and it showed that if you have under 4 hours sleep a night, then it's the equivalent of being over the drink drive limit. So it is absolutely dangerous if you don't get enough sleep.
Wow. But you particularly specialise in helping new mums to get sleep. Okay. And I think that has been a problem since we came out of the caves zillion years ago. I mean, this is a solution to a seemingly timeless problem. Because I've never met a new mum ever in my life, in my 56 years on this planet, that says, do you know what? Since the baby was born, I've never slept so well. Said no new mum ever. I mean, literally. Go on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as you say, it's something that's always been the case. And I think that but at the moment there is a huge issue because there is so much information out there. And if there's one thing that all sleep specialists, all research shows, is the one thing that you need in order for a baby to sleep well is consistency. And unfortunately, with social media and all different advice, that's the one thing that parents aren't getting up right now.
I think looking up any subject nowadays can be, I think Dr. Google is both a blessing and a curse, isn't it? Sometimes more on the curse side, but you're right, there is so much contradictory information. So that's why we need experts like you to be able to pare it down and say, no, ignore that. That's stuff, do this. So it was not a silly question. Are you busy at the moment? I imagine you must be. I imagine you never run out of work.
Incredibly busy. I've always been busy, to be quite honest with you. I've been doing this for 25 years now. And when I first started doing it back in 2008, actually, I set up my business the same year that I had my first son, Oliver. And back then, there really wasn't. In fact, I Googled sleep experts back then, and nothing came up. And there was one or two kind of parenting experts, but nothing sleep related. And now you Google sleep expert, and there are thousands in the UK alone. And since the pandemic, it has just got even more busy because there isn't the postnatal support that there used to be within the NHS. Parents are really struggling with that because when I had my first baby, Oliver, for example, you got visits from the health visitor, you get visits from the midwife, you had loads of drop-in clinics, and there was actually quite a good support back then, 16 years ago. Now, you're lucky if you get one home visit. In fact, I know most of the parents in my community that don't even get a home visit, and then there isn't the
once the parents leave hospital, once the mum leaves hospital and takes baby home, you're saying that's pretty much it. She's left to pretty much fend for herself.
Unless there's some really severe problems. Yeah. And sleep isn't included in that. Because as you say,
I mean, but that would be the most severe. What I've learned about sleep, that would be the most severe problem of all, surely. Because without that foundation, that's up there with eating and breathing, I would have thought.
Oh, I totally agree with you. Absolutely, I really agree with you. But it is normalised, and as you said, every single parent from the beginning of time has struggled with sleep in those first few months, and so it isn't seen as a medical issue that needs combating from the NHS, unless it's affecting the baby's growth or the mother's mental health. And even in those points, it's really difficult to access the support the parents need.
I mean, I remember, it's a totally different thing, but I remember when my mum was unwell and she had to go into care, and to get it, because care's not cheap, and perhaps that isn't the point, but it sort of semi is. But to get it fully funded, her head literally needed to have fallen off. I mean, it was the most severe of severe, which would eliminate 99.5% of the population, I would have thought.
Yeah, and it's the same with babies, and especially when you've got this really small time window. If you're struggling with sleep, you need help right now, whereas the waiting list for sleep help or dietitians, or if it's related to a medical issue, can be weeks or even months within the NHS. And by that point, when you've got a baby that isn't sleeping, or even if it's to do with a medical issue like reflux, and you're waiting to see a gastroenterologist who has got a waiting list of 2.5 months, that's not really helpful when you're struggling right now with your 2-month-old baby.
So you help people under the umbrella of all of these potential issues that arise?
Absolutely. So my background's in paediatric nursing.
Tell us more about you.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2000 from King's College University as a paediatric nurse. I then landed an amazing job as a nanny for professional golfers, and I spent my 20s traveling around the world to the Masters in Augusta. I travelled between Hawaiian Islands in private jets and all kinds of amazing experiences.
Sounds awful. How did you cope?
And it was there that I kind of formulated my gentle approach to sleep, because these babies needed to be adaptable. They needed to be able to travel wherever we were traveling in the world. And it was my job to make sure that they were able to do this. But Dad was in the next room with £1 million round of golf the next day, so I wasn't going to be doing any kind of controlled crying or leaving babies to cry out. So I formulated my supportive approach to sleep. I also did 3 years postgraduate training in nutritional therapy and 2 years in craniosacral therapy. And I spent a while setting up Sure Start Children's Centres, doing presentations and support in everything from baby sleep to first aid to weaning to fussy eating, lunch boxes, lots of different help and support for parents. And it was here that I was meeting lots and lots of families. So I'd do a presentation on potty training or on weaning, and I'd explain my background, and all they ever wanted to talk about was sleep, because there was no support in sleep. And they're like, Hannah, put the lunch boxes aside. How can you help my toddler sleep? and so there I just realised that's where the need was. It wasn't something that I decided, right, okay, I'm going to be a sleep specialist. But by the time I had my son Oliver in 2008, I set up my business as a sleep expert. And then I worked for 14 years one-to-one with families, helping their little ones sleep well. But combining my nutritional qualifications, my nursing qualifications. So I had lots of families that contacted me with a really complex issue with babies that had cow's milk protein allergy or really struggling with medical issues. And it's there that I really found my niche in the fact that I could help any baby sleep well. In fact, I had a money back guarantee on all of my programs, which I didn't have to honour in 14 years. And then when the pandemic hit, I moved online. More families needed me, and I set up my community. And now the majority of my work is online through my community. I've got a Facebook community of 12,000 families. I've got a book and lots of parenting and sleep courses.
I mean, that just shows how much of a big subject it is, isn't it? Before I ask you how you help babies sleep, you mentioned the term crying out. Now, there's been a lot of debate on this over the years, hasn't there? Some people think it's I've heard this, I'm not saying I agree with it, but I've heard the school of thought, leave them to cry out, otherwise they become too dependent. And I've also heard the school of thought that letting them cry out is the worst thing you can possibly do. What's the truth? What's the truth on the crying out theory?
So firstly, I'd like to say I'm not here to pass judgment on anybody's choice as a
Of
parent.
course.
I think that for some families, leaving a baby to cry, especially if they've got a personality like my eldest did, I never left him to cry, but he was very laid back. And I'm sure that had I have done that or had the need to do that, that it would have worked perfectly for him. But there are many families that it just doesn't work. And actually it causes a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress for both the baby and the parent. If there's underlying causes to the baby's illness, to the baby's sleep issue, which there normally is, if it's because of feeding, if it's because of medical issues, because the baby's uncomfortable, if there's lots of if there's any reason for the sleep issue, then controlled crying isn't going to work. And in those cases, controlled crying, Ferber, cry it out, timed intervals, whatever you want to call it. There's lots of different names for it now because people are trying to move away from the controlled crying label, can cause immense amounts of anxiety and stress in parents. And unfortunately, with the evolution of lots and lots of sleep specialists coming out and it not being a regulated industry and lots of parents coming into this as a profession after having babies and doing a short course, that it's the only one that you can teach really quickly. So there are so many parents that are out there being promised gentle solutions, and then the only option is controlled crying. In fact, about 6 months ago, I had a family, it's not an unusual situation, contact me, Hannah, can you really help me? Is it genuinely not controlled crying? Is it genuinely a gentle approach? And I was reassuring her. She said, because I went to another sleep specialist, I paid them, and then they asked me to leave my baby to cry. And I'd seen this over and over and over again, and it was a new trend that was emerging, that the controlled crying was being sold as a gentle technique. And so I put this on my Instagram, and within 24 hours, I had 197 comments saying that this has happened to other people.
That sounds a bit like a cop-out on their part. It sounds a bit like, going to the doctor and saying, doctor, it hurts when I do this. And the doctor says, well, don't do this anymore. You know what I mean? It sounds a bit like mis-selling, if you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. 100%. But one of the mums on this thread on Instagram, it's still up on my Instagram, actually said that she had done a course to become a sleep specialist and it had been sold as a gentle sleep training course. And then she'd been taught how to do controlled crying. So it's being sold to the trainers as a gentle solution. And they're saying it is gentle because you're going back and checking in on the baby. But to me, going from rocking or nursing or cuddling or contact napping, co-sleeping with a baby to putting them in a cot, even just that isn't gentle, let alone then leaving them in the room on their own to work it out themselves. With my approach, there's 13 steps to get from there to there, whereas this you're doing one step in one go.
Understood. So fair enough. But when the mum's absolutely knackered, all she needs to do is sleep, and controlled crying is not going to work, then the gentle solution comes in at that point. What is how do you help these hundreds of people?
Okay, so in a nutshell, my approach is I look at the underlying reason. So I'm advising parents. I want to teach parents to be their own baby's expert, because sleep isn't linear. You can't just suddenly say, right, I'm going to leave my baby to cry out, and now for the rest of my life I don't need to think about sleep anymore, because there's going to be regressions. They're going to go through times when they need to get back on track. So if I can teach the parents how to teach their baby to sleep well, then they will have those tools in order to manage those regressions as they move forward. So we take gentle steps forward. So for example, if the parent is feeding or rocking the baby to sleep, the first small step would be to cuddle them, but to stop rocking or stop feeding. So you're still cuddling them, you're still offering them comfort, you're still offering them help, but you're just moving that one step forward to more independent sleep. With smaller babies, rather than holding them on their tummy on your chest, hold them in the crook of your arm on their back, because that's more like they're going to be sleeping in their cot, because they have to be in their cot on their back. And if they're always on their tummy, on their chest, on you, then going into their cot is going to be really impossible. Whereas if they're more difficult. Whereas if you hold them in the crook of your arm on their back, then they're much more likely to transfer. So it's just really small things that can make a really big difference. Yeah.
Really simple things as well. That's the kind of thing I'd have spent a lifetime banging my head against a brick wall for a solution. And then when it's just, now you said it, it just seems so delightfully obvious.
And this is what I get so many times. I do a free workshop 3 times a year. In January, I helped 5,000 parents on my free workshop. And
brilliant.
so many times parents say to me, my God, Hannah, this isn't bloody rocket science, is it? And I'm like, no, it's not. But when you're in that sleep deprived, anxious mess and you've got noise everywhere, you're on the internet, you're on your phone, you're Googling, you're on Instagram at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you've got all of these different ideas coming at you, you don't know which way to turn. And the first thing I say is just forget everything you've read. What I want you to do is I want you to go back to listening to your baby. You know your baby best, better than an algorithm, better than an app, better than a schedule that somebody else has given to you. I want you to learn to trust your instincts as a parent and how to help your baby by trusting those instincts.
And I like the way you said not one size fits all. It should seem obvious, but I suppose to maybe some it's not, that all babies are indeed different and have different needs. It's not that they can all be put in one box of this is going to work for that group and that's going to work for that group.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can just see when you go into these forums, give me your routine for my 10-month-old. What routine should I be following from a 10-month-old? You pick up the apps and they're sorting out the algorithm of your baby should be sleeping now. And unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. I've looked after identical twins when I was nannying, right, where they have genetically identical. They're genetically identical. And yet one of the twin needs an hour's more sleep than the other, or needs half an hour more wake window than the other twin. And if two babies are genetically identical can't follow the same pattern, then you'll be damned if you're going to be trying to follow a pattern that for a baby that lives like over the other side of the world to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Identical twins are not so identical after all, it would seem. But that's what we like to do as human beings. We like things to be clean and logical and have that box for that and that box for that and that box for that. And great idea. But in any subject I find it doesn't work. When you got the human factor in there and the fact that we're all human and we're all different, that's never ever going to work. So it's really developing your own skills as a parent, rather than following the recipe that the algorithm says or Instagram says, and that can only be learned through experience, I suppose. But I like the fact that it is simple steps to learn that through experience, right?
Yeah, and it really is simple things. Like one of the first things that I do on the workshop when I've got all of these parents and I'm doing a Facebook Live and I'm talking to them and I'm like, so many times when you're trying to put your baby to sleep, you're like, right, okay, the app says to me it's 20:12, it's been 2.5 hours awake window, it's time to go to bed. And then you try to get your baby to go to sleep and they're fighting it and they're screaming and they're back arching, they're refusing to go down. And it's stressful for the parent, it's stressful for the baby, the parent's anxious. So, oh my God, it's way past their awake window, they're going to be getting overtired now. And actually, when I say to them, when I strip it back, I said, how was your baby before you went up to do the nap? They were fine. They were playing. I was like, a tired baby won't be fine and playing. Your baby wasn't tired and ready for sleep. I was like, lots of active play leading up to bedtime. When your baby isn't interested in playing, then it's time to go to sleep. And they're like, oh my God, Hannah, he went off in 5 minutes. like it's just doing.
You know, I've got an equally good, a similar story. Literally just come in as you were saying that. It just reminded me, just flashback to I was in a comedy club once and the guy said, isn't the most annoying person, the comedian, of the person that comes around to your house just about when it's time to put the children to bed and plays, let's excite the children.
No, absolutely. But I think
Philip Harling, one of our regulars, when myself and the missus had our first child, he always cried after about 20 minutes putting him to bed. And again, this seems so brilliantly obvious, but counterintuitive. We thought we were doing the right thing by turning the telly down and being as quiet as possible. This went on for a couple of months. Our GP, who sounds like a genius, pointed out that because he can't hear us subconsciously, he called out for us. So we went back to normal, turning the television volume up, and he started to sleep through. Because he obviously felt comforted by the sound of the TV, right?
Yeah, there's two separate things to that. One, if things change when your baby's going to sleep and you've already got the TV on, you're making noise, you're moving around the house, and then it goes silent, they're like, oh my goodness, what's happened? Like that. And they're going to wake up and think, is everyone here? Is everything okay? But on the other side of things as well, you want your baby to get used to those noises, your normal house noises. You don't want your baby to only be able to sleep in silence. And this is something that I really teach teach families as a family ourselves. Our children went to their first festival before they were 2 months old. We do a lot of traveling. We're really sociable people. We have people over at the house, and parents are always like, oh, I'm really frightened about sleep training my baby, Hannah, because will we be stuck to the house, and we don't want that. I'm like, no, the idea of having a baby that sleeps well is that you can do these experiences, you can do what you want to do as a family, and your baby will sleep wherever you are, in a festival trolley, in a restaurant, and that's really important, getting that noise.
I mean, that sounds like dream come true stuff, and that's achievable. Clearly it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is what I teach parents all the time. And this is what I put up, I wanted to prove this because everyone's like, that sounds like unbelievable. So I asked in my community, I said, anybody that's been through my training, can you send me a picture of your baby sleeping anywhere apart from in their cot? I don't want cot pictures. I want pictures of everyone. And there was pictures of babies on sun lounges, on aeroplanes, in high chairs. There was a toddler that had fallen asleep on a blow-up unicorn on a balcony on holiday.
Did you get one at an Iron Maiden concert? That would be really cool.
We had I've got my baby at the back of who was playing Prodigy at a festival in a
that's epic.
quality. So yeah, no, it's absolutely possible, and this is what I want to show parents. There's so much misinformation out there, and there's so much at the moment. I think everybody's gone from this kind of everything's brilliant to everything's awful, and I think reality is absolutely important. But I also want parents to know that actually it can be good, it can be a positive experience. You don't have to kind of like, I find it really difficult because a lot of the time on Instagram and on social media, there's this big trend of everything being depressing and real life. And actually, I don't want real life to be like that for parents. I want parents to know that it can be.
Or indeed at all. And I think, I suppose the principle applies to all of life. But, on this subject, it's like, it's a bit like if you're trying to crack, you could spend forever trying to crack a safe, couldn't you? Doing all those combinations and spend 10 lifetimes trying to do it. But then you get the combination and it's just easy. Yeah. And then the safe opens straight away. It's with the right this is what I'm getting from this, with the right information. And not only that, it sounds delightfully simple to me. This sounds like a healing balm for parents around the world. And I'm just surprised. I mean, why have we not thought of this sooner?
Well, I've been trying to get the message out there for quite a while now, but as I said, there's just so much noise around parenting, which is what is so frustrating for me. That it's just, I just want parents to know that there is a simple, supportive alternative to all of this. All of this noise that's out there, and actually that's one of the big things. After I did my workshop, I went into my community and I said, you are the people that have found me, so I'm going to ask you, what is it that drew you to me? How can I get my approach out there? And everyone was like, that you don't say no to everything. You're not telling us that we can't do this, that you're offering solutions to the things that we need solutions for, and they're simple solutions, and you're not judgmental. It's like, right, okay,
well, I think that's important. I mean, because when under any high stress situation, and I certainly count bringing a new child home a high stress situation, when we're stressed, talk about this quite a lot on this show, we're not at our most rational. No one is. And that's not having a go at anybody at all. When I've been in stressful situations, I don't make good decisions. I think the science is because our emotional center, the amygdala, is all fired up, and the prefrontal cortex, where we're illogical, is shut down. It's just science. So anything, I mean, making a cup of tea could feel stressful under situations like this, right? And the last thing we need is a difficult learning curve at a time our mind is least primed to deal with it and accept it, right? And this sounds like the solution. If it was like 20 complicated steps to this, or even more deprivation, you have to take things away, and that's it, isn't it? It's like going on a diet that isn't a diet, where you can eat as much as you like of certain foods and you don't feel deprived. And I imagine a new mum feels more deprived than anything else. So to add something rather than take something away, I think that's what I'm getting most from this.
And to allow them to continue to do the things that is working for them. and that they're enjoying. Yeah, exactly. And because I think that often when there's a blanket solution to baby sleep, it's like, right, you've got to stop doing this, stop doing this, stop doing this, and then this will happen. But actually, in some families, 2 out of 4 of those things are working for them, and actually they're getting a lot of kind of positivity and a lot of kind of what word, but they're getting a lot out of those things. So, for example,
results.
Yeah, and they're getting a lot of comfort out of those things. So, for example, if they're contact napping on the sofa in the afternoon and they're their 2 hours of sitting there and just having some time with their baby and they're cuddling, and then they come to a blanket response, I know your baby has to be in their cot and you need to leave them to cry it out. No, that's working for that family right now. Let's address the areas that aren't working. Let's address kind of bedtimes or self-settling, but allow them that space with their baby because that is working for them. So there's ways of parents resolving things without them making it even harder for themselves in the beginning, because especially
it goes back to Philip, doesn't it? I mean, you would have thought it would be sensible to turn the television down when it turned out that completely the opposite was true. The baby is used to that. Baby associates that with comfort. Turn the telly up. We've got another question here from Fat Scotty that likes to contribute to the show. Hannah, fascinating subject. I'm someone that can fully function on 5 hours max. I don't know how you do that, Fat Scotty, unless you're from Transylvania. Can infants have too much sleep?
It's very rare that babies will have too much sleep. It's actually one of the main reasons why that parents struggle with sleep, is because they're aiming for their little ones to have too much sleep, because a lot of the kind of apps and algorithms and basic routines go on the higher end need sleeps baby. And actually there's lots of babies, like adults, like you, Fat Scotty, that don't need as much sleep as the general population. And babies are the same. So some babies, one baby might need 12 hours sleep in 24 hours, and another baby might need 14 hours sleep in 24 hours. So, and it's almost impossible to force baby to sleep more, which is why lots of parents are really struggling with sleep.
Well, I suppose babies are more in tune, probably than most of us, with their own bodies and needs. I don't know many babies that wake up and think, oh God, I've got that meeting with the boss, I've got 1,000 emails to answer, I've got to walk the dog. You know, I don't know any babies that say that.
Absolutely. And that's the same with feeding and sleep. You know, the centile charts that all babies have, that you get their weight charted on when you go to the GP. And I don't know any adult, well, not many adults, that literally follow that exact curve for their age. and whereas babies do. So you can literally plot on there, unless there's something wrong medically, that at this age, if they're on the 25th centile, by the time they're 10 months, they're going to be this much weight. Yeah. And that's because they're so in tune with their needs. So they know exactly how much milk they need to do. And then when they start having solids, how much milk they need to drop in order to make that weight at 10 months old. And it's the same with sleep. They're so in tune with how much sleep they have. If they're having more sleep in the daytime, they'll need less sleep at night. If they're going to bed early, they'll wake up earlier. So, and this is what I want to teach parents, so that they can trust their baby and trust their instincts, rather than thinking, right, the side of the milk tin is saying that they should be finishing off 6 ounces, but my baby's only having 4, and then panicking. Are they following their weight? Yes, they are. Then they're doing absolutely fine. So it's yeah.
I remember a fascinating experiment that was done, and it was people trying to get their children to eat healthy foods, and they did this experiment, and they put out the healthy foods and bowls of sweets. And what do you think would happen? Well, the kids are going to go, yeah, I'm going to go for the sweets. That actually didn't happen. It was quite the opposite. The kids seemed so in tune, if you like, with what they needed.
Yeah. And they gravitate to the foods that they need. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's just a question of working, I suppose, with nature, with what's already there, not on statistics, not on should do's, not on what Mrs. Jones over the road is doing, but what with your and your baby's unique needs, and working with the system, working with the systems that are already there.
Yeah.
And the tools of how to do that in a simple, doable, and fun way that adds something, not takes something away. I love it. I think this is
importantly makes parents able to relax and just enjoy being a parent. And I think that we've moved so far away from that, and the anxiety and the stress is so high at the moment. I just want to reach as many parents to let them know that they're doing a great job, and they just need to listen to them and their baby a little bit more.
Because I think parents are also so critical of themselves. I think most parents go, "Oh my goodness me, I hope I haven't messed them up too much." I've heard so many parents say that, and ironically, these are great people and great parents, and we're so hard on ourselves, aren't we?
Oh, 100%. I was recent working really quickly for a mum with who's really professional doctor, and I was working one-to-one with her, and her baby was doing absolutely brilliantly, and then she phoned me and she said, "Hannah," she goes, "you know me," and I'd already pointed it out. She goes, "if I haven't got anything to worry about, I'll find something to worry about. Can you just reassure me on this one point?" I was like, "Yeah." And so she's very in tune with the fact that that's how she felt, but unfortunately that a lot of parents are feeling like that, but they don't actually realize that's how they're feeling. And it was me that had called it out, and I was like, "Look, you don't need to worry about this. Do you realize?" She goes, "Yes, I know."
Yeah. It's an important message. I think it would make life easier and more enjoyable to live for anyone that practices it. Speaking of getting your stuff out there, this chat might be a contact for you, actually, Hannah. Dave A. Sleep, one of our regulars, very big in the mental health field. Greetings, one and all. Great conversation. This is also being streamed out in reception at Wanstead Mental Health Clinic. So shout out to everyone in Wanstead Mental Health Clinic. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, Hannah. Maybe useful contact for you there, Hannah.
Thank you so much. That's lovely to hear, and I hope everyone's found it useful there.
Yeah. So how do you get your message out there at the moment, out of interest? How do you market yourself? Is it all primarily
I'm on Instagram on Sleep Well with Hannah. I've also got, there's my Calm Approach to Baby Sleep, which is my book.
Well, I was going to ask about the book, yes.
Yeah. So I brought that out this time last year, in fact, February last year, and it went straight to #1 in 5 categories, and it's gone straight back up to #1 after my workshop in 5 categories on Amazon. So you can get that on Amazon, and that's a really good introduction to my approach to sleep. It's got my program in there. I've also got a wonderful supportive community called Sleep Well with Hannah Parenting Community on Facebook, which, unlike a lot of parenting communities, is really lovely, supportive. Everybody knows my approach in there, and you can reach out and ask questions. And if you're following my approach by my book, get support in there as well. I'm now also, we're in the biggest NHS trust in the UK, supporting parents on their wellness platform in Manchester. So if you work within the NHS trust in Manchester, then you can get 50% off of our courses. So yeah, we're getting the message out there slowly but surely. And thanks for helping me get the message out there today on this show as well, Neil. That's great.
Absolute pleasure. It's been absolutely lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for being on. Keep in touch.
Yes, I will. And if you ever need anybody to comment on anything parenting, you know where I am.
You are now, I'm going to show my age now, the word I'm about to use. You're now in my Rolodex. So thank you very much. If people would like to find you, the main website, sleepwellwithhannah.com. Hold your book up again. Just tell us a little bit about the book. Give us a quick rundown of the chapters. Give us a quick.
So basically it just goes into all of the introduction. It goes into the science of sleep first, preparing you and your baby, setting up the room. It's got advice on weaning, feeding. You've even got a QR code that you can follow to go to a hub, which has got recipes and different routines. And then it literally guides through each step of my sleep training, which is preparation, changing the daytimes, looking at overnights, the actual sleep training, and then staying on track, managing holidays and festivals and going back to work and everything. So it's all in there. I don't know how I got it into 40,000 words, but I just about managed it.
So what festivals do you like to go to? I'm fascinated. I read that on your website. You mentioned Prodigy. I love you already for saying that.
I love Prodigy, yeah. Unfortunately,
Prodigy music made by nutters for nutters. I just love it.
We are going, the kids are coming to us to Wilderness this year. We've been there for about 9 years actually in a row now in Oxfordshire. That's a brilliant festival. If parents are thinking about a little starting out festival with their family, then Elderflower Fields near Brighton is beautiful. Unfortunately, we can't go this year because we're at a friend's wedding in Scotland. But yeah, if anybody's looking for it, Elderflower Fields is just a lovely little festival. But yeah, there are 2 main ones at the moment that we like going to. And I think we're going to be going to Mucky Weekender as well at the end of the summer this year.
That sounds incredible fun, I have to say. I knew a guy actually. He did a family-friendly rave, which was really, really good. It was like a daytime rave.
No, absolutely. Is that Raver Tots?
Wasn't Raver Tots. I can't remember the brand name now. Daniel Rolnick, his name is. I'm not sure if he does it now, but he certainly did it for many, many years. And I went along one year, and it was great. It was just like families picnicking.
Our kids absolutely loved Raver Tots when they were growing up. We used to go to Raver Tots all the time. Yeah,
it was just like this perfect chilled family day out and banging tunes as well.
Yeah.
And I do mean banging.
Yeah, no, the first time I took the kids to Ravertops, it was at the Rhythm Station in Aldershot, and I took them. Me and my sister took the two girls. I think Ella must have been about 4 at the time. She's
Yeah.
nearly 13 now, and she absolutely loved it, but she came back completely high on sweets. But no, they're a really good day out, Ravertops, and all. There's a couple of them have popped up, but Ravertops was the original one that we used to go to years ago. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, no,
Brilliant.
good. And I also
Hannah,
arranged.
really lovely talking to you, Hannah. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Enjoy the
you
rest of
too.
your day.
Thank you so much for
And
having
what
me.
I'll do, once the broadcast is finished, if you like, I'll send you this footage. So if you want to use this for any
Please do.
marketing,
That would be
any
amazing.
marketing purposes whatsoever, there's no limits. Please use it freely.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care, Hannah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye
Thank you
for
for
now.
having me. Bye.
You're welcome. It's been lovely. There we go. We've got 2 guests today, as I say, and very, very impressive. Thank you, Hannah. Isn't it great that there are solutions to what we? I mean, come on, this has been a problem since the dawn of time. You know, ever since we moved on from men going out and catching wildebeest and ladies, women looking after the kids in the caves in a group, you know, or so we're led to believe. It's been a problem since then, and the solutions are just so simple. And I love the way that it's, number one, simple, and 2, add something to your life rather than strict sort of do this, do that, do that, do that. No, it's just kind of go with the flow, go with your intuition, and work with what's already there, the natural systems that are already there, rather than trying to sort of clunkily follow these laundry lists of things to do, which are frankly not doable most of the time. Because, for obvious reasons, everyone's different. That's just for a start. Anyway, I'm Neil Long. Hello, welcome to the Midday Show. And now it's time for guest number 2, Suzanne Baum. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm really good, thanks. You've got me. I've just come off the paddle court, so I've got the post-paddle glow and energy.
It is radiating out of my computer screen right now, Suzanne. You are radiating positive, vibrant energy. So now I've seen this advertised. Is it Padel? Padel? How do you say it?
I call it paddle, but I actually think it is padel, but I call it paddle.
Paddle, or if you're posh, Padel. So I've seen it advertised, and when we were chatting before you came on the show, you said it's the fastest growing sport in the UK.
Not in the UK, in the world.
In the world?
Yeah.
Okay, I've undersold you. I'll rewind that. I'm sorry. It's before we were talking, we came on the show. You said it's the fastest growing sport in the universe. So tell us why. Tell us more.
Apparently so. Oh gosh. So there's so many reasons why, and I kind of understand why people just love it. I think I'm so passionate about the fact it's a sport that anybody can do. You know, unlike other sports where you've got to be athletic or you've got to sort of, you know, be strong. The thing about paddle is anybody can do it. You don't have
What
to
is
be.
it? Is it Scott? I saw it, and you're going to correct me on this, and please do. It looks like a kind of a cross between tennis and table tennis.
It's a cross between tennis and squash, I'd say, and a bit of badminton thrown in. It's not as hard as tennis because the paddle court is smaller. It's a game of 4 players, which is amazing because it kind of means you're never alone. I think one of the things I like about paddle is in the world where we're so tech driven, you know, loneliness and mental health is understandably on the rise. And the thing about paddle is it is phenomenal for your mental health because, you know, you get on court, you down tools, you put your mobile away, and loneliness, you know, you're always with 3 other people. So you don't even have to have a partner. You can rock up and you have 3 people to play. So it's brilliant.
I love the sound of it, and good for you. Obviously, we can tell by your
It is so good. I've been a fitness editor for years, and I've, you know, been lucky enough to trial all the latest fitness. I was the first UK journalist to meet the Peloton team, to have the Peloton tread in my home. You know, you name it, I've done it, and I've never ever enjoyed a sport more than paddle. It is so beneficial for my bones, for my mental health. You know, I feel strong in my mind, in my body. You know, I'm not a naturally strong person. I've never enjoyed exercise, but I buzz from it before the game, during the game, and after the game.
You do. I mean, you do. If I can say this, you do look incredibly vibrant. I mean, your energy literally is oozing out of the computer screen. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sound creepy or weird, but you really do.
Do you know what? It's not just me. We're all like this. You know, I go on court, I meet. The other thing is you make new friends. You know, I'm in my 50s, never needed to make new friends, wasn't interested in, you know, but I've met so many lovely new friends. I've reconnected with old friends, and we smile from start to finish.
Where did it come from?
Well, I think it originally comes from Spain, and you know, my job is actually so I was just reading one of the users' comment about digging in the garden. Stop digging, play paddle.
He's a bit of a lurker. He pops in for the show, then he gets back to dig in his garden. Philip, it's good to have you along today. All the best, buddy.
So I first discovered it a year ago when I was invited as the first UK journalist to, you know, have a hit at one of the clubs. Right. And slowly, I live in London, so slowly the clubs have been opening in London. The more and more courts are opening up. I mean, I play 4 or 5 times a week. It has totally transformed my life.
Yeah, I've seen it because I DJ and I've been to venues and I see it advertised in sports venues, and I didn't know that much about it actually. And I just it was called paddle or padel, and I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. I haven't seen that before. But
it's so much fun. You've got to try it. Honestly, I literally bang on about it, and I've got so many midlife women on court because I think at our age, your age, my age, one of the most important things is to keep our bones strong.
Yes.
So, you know, to keep active, it keeps my mind engaged, it keeps my eye on the ball. And anybody can play. I mean, I've played with a boxer, I've played with Jack Binstead, he's the wheelchair padel champion. I play with him. Oh. He's amazing. I play with, you know, young kids. I play with women in their 80s. And we literally just cheer each other on. There's no ever bad vibes on the paddle court.
That's amazing. Is it in the Olympics? Is it an Olympic sport?
No, it's not yet. I think they're trying to get into the Olympics. Maybe like not the next one, but the one after. I work a lot with the LTA, the London Tennis Association. They've now got a padel arm where they're pushing it out. You know, you get people like Jason Mansford who are all about getting young kids on court. So he's got an academy where he's getting kids playing paddle. I think it just gets them off, you know, social media. It gets you off your phone. And because it's a sport that you can actually enjoy, the benefits are huge. Well,
I think you've hit on it there, because I don't like exercise, so I have to really enjoy a sport before I will do it for exercise. Otherwise, it's just exercise. You know, I'd rather nail my feet to a moving escalator than go to exercise. But this actually does sound fun.
That's how I used to feel. You know, I'd do a 5K, I'd dread it. I'd go, you know, loads of my friends go spinning. I used to do it and dread it. Now I cannot wait to get back onto my next match. I'm scrolling for games because you can add yourself to games if you don't have people to play with.
Right. How long does a match last? What are the rules?
So match tends to last.
And how do you play it, for that matter? What's the rules? How do you play?
So the match lasts about 60 minutes, but if you're like me and you crave more, me and my friends now, we play for 90 minutes because an hour goes so quickly. So we sort of play for 90 minutes. And, you know, if you don't like exercise, coming from where I used to be and you are, 90 minutes of working out, you know, you dread it. Whereas the time goes so quickly, we don't want it to end.
That would seem... If someone said to me I had to do a 90-minute workout, I mean,
I know
my daughter will put on one of these really punishing workouts that she's on YouTube, and she says, "I did a workout today, Dad. Mum, it's killing me." And this is like 20 minutes. You know, she's full of lactic acid. You know, my muscles are killing me, and I'm like, okay.
No, I hear you. That's why paddle, I think, is just, that's why I think it's the fastest growing sport in the world, because it is easy to play, it's accessible, and it's just so much fun. And because it's fun, you want to do it. Whereas, running, I dread. Spinning to me is not fun. I just want the class to be over. Paddle, you just, and because you have a partner, you work together, so it's not all, you're not solely responsible for hitting the ball.
There's probably you mentioned mental health. There's probably a mental health thing there, working with someone. I saw a fascinating thing. I think it was in one of the Paul McKenna books, and it's if they've tested people's brain chemicals, and they go up when people are doing something collectively. So let's say, for example, England are in the final. I know that's rare, but England are in the final, but everyone tuned in and watching that as a collective, knowing everyone else is watching it, will increase the happy chemicals in the brain. And I'm guessing it's a similar dynamic here, possibly.
It definitely must give you happy chemicals in the brain, because I feel like, I think I've compared it to like runners that explain they've had a runner's high. I'm like, what's that? How do you even how do you get a runner's high? Whereas I feel I have a paddle high. I think your adrenaline, and because you're smiling the whole time and you're giggling, I don't play competitively, I play friendly. I'm not interested in playing competitively because I'm there just to have fun, and so are all the people I play with. And so I think, the endorphins are real, and they're there, and they really.
But this sounds beyond endorphins, because you can get endorphins by doing exercise you hate. Eventually, you'll get endorphins, and they do feel nice, no question.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's a fun high as well.
It's a fun high, and you know what? A lot of the time I win, a lot of the time I lose, and when I lose, I smile. Some sports you lose and you're like really, frustrated with yourself, you're cross with your partner, but we just smile when we lose or we win, because it's
so you haven't met the John McEnroe of paddle yet, where he throws the racket on the floor and says, you cannot be serious.
No, but the funny thing is, in my career as a celebrity interviewer, I've interviewed, every athlete and sports star out there, because that was my job. I've played tennis against Andre Agassi, I've played tennis against Djokovic, I can't say the name, against Novak, and all the years of interviewing celebrities, Djokovic, they always touch upon golf. It was always golf was their lifestyle choice, golf was their hobby. And then I'd say the last 2 years, everyone is talking about paddle. And obviously, they're wealthy, they can afford to go to these private paddle clubs. So I think what we need to do now in this area, and which I know the LTA are doing, is pushing out more courts, so everybody can play.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So, I mean, you say you're in London. How easy is it to find a paddle court in London?
Well, I mean, it's quite easy. More and more courts are opening. I live in North London, so there's clubs that are quite posh, which I go to. I'm lucky enough to play at, and then there's outdoor courts, which are community clubs, which are cheap. But I think parks now should maybe have paddle courts, community centres, because this growth in paddle, I think, is going to grow and grow and grow, and it will only succeed if people. So that everybody can play.
And how does it work? I mean, is it like, what are the rules? Is it like tennis in a sense?
Yeah, the scoring's the same as tennis. So, if you know tennis, then you know the scoring. And it's similar to tennis, but the court's a lot smaller, and you hit against, there's something called the cage. So you're kind of like, you're not in a cage, but the sides are a cage. And it's very similar, and it's a bit like ping pong. There's certain rules when it comes to serving and things, but it's literally like tennis, but on a smaller court.
Okay. Well, it does sound great fun. I might even have a little go myself.
I want you to have a go, because I promise you will love it. Honestly, I've got so many women my age playing, and they're like, I don't want to play, I'm rubbish, people will be unfriendly, I'm embarrassed, and it couldn't be further from the truth.
Well, let's just reassure people there. It doesn't matter if you're rubbish, right?
honestly, I've had so many messages on my Instagram from people going, I'm shy, I really want to play. I don't know if people are going to think I'm rubbish. Nobody cares because we've all started somewhere. You know, a year ago, I couldn't even hit the ball over the net.
Right.
And nobody cares. And yeah, it's just brilliant.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. It's been absolutely lovely talking to you.
It's a pleasure. And people think this is my job. Actually, I forget, like, you know, I have a job, but I play paddle around it, but I do seem to talk about it a lot.
Yeah, you could be forgiven for thinking this is your full-time gig, actually, with the enthusiasm you're radiating.
Oh, thanks. Well, I've got a gig next week. I've been doing some paddle presenting, so we've got a big event next weekend over 3 days. I've been asked to.
Oh, you mentioned this. Yeah, tell us about this event.
So it's a 3-day event in Bristol next week, and it's the biggest paddle tournament ever to be in the UK, with the biggest prize fund ever in the UK. So it's it's bringing international and national players together in a 3-day festival by the R3 Cup, and there's a big prize fund to win. So yeah, I'm going to be interviewing the players, just bringing the game to life, basically.
And people can find your footage on Instagram for this, can they?
Yeah, and people can watch. They can, it's free for spectators. There's going to be loads of fun events, entertainment around it. So hopefully this will be the start of people taking paddle, seriously, maybe as an Olympic sport in the future.
Sure. So if people want to find you, it's Suzanne_Baum on Insta.
And if anyone wants to ask me any questions, there's I'm wearing, like, what am I wearing? Like, people think you need the kit. You don't need the kit to play paddle. All you actually really do need, though, are paddle shoes, because the way you move on the court, you've got to really protect your ankles.
Okay. Suzanne, thank you so much. And what I'll do, I'll send you this footage afterwards. I'll send it to you and our previous guest as well. And feel free to use it for any marketing purposes at all. So
I will do. And next time I speak to you, I want you to have said you've done one game of paddle and let me know how you found it.
I promise you, if I have a go, I'll hit you up on the socials and I'll tell you what I thought. And I'm sure it'd be good.
Lovely to chat to you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you for your time. Good afternoon.
Pleasure. Bye, Nick.
Well, did you enjoy that today, folks? I thought that was a great couple of guests, didn't you? There we go. Any final comments before we close out for the day? I think we're all fairly nearly done. But any final comments? Do hit me up in the comments box. Scotty, if you're listening, I'd definitely love to present with you at some point again soon on the show. So do let me know if you'd like to be on. Just hit me up on the socials. If there's any particular subject you'd like me to address here on the Midday Show, on the Wednesday edition, again, let me know. And I'll be delighted to hear from you. And I can find a guest and do all that kind of stuff. So really, just let me know. Really, just let me know. It's been lovely. Thank you very much indeed for tuning in. Just enough time to tell you about Friday. Russ and the gang will be back Friday. Chantal Ricard, Screen Queen. I always get that wrong. Screen Queen. Chantal Ricard is going to be here with all the latest good stuff to watch, and there's plenty. Also, Jonathan Baz, theatre critic, and the Cravat King, Phil Dave. Not forgetting the inimitable Russ Kane, when he's not doing his celebrity duties, he will be here on Friday hosting the show. Absolutely lovely talking to you, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And shout out to everyone at the Wanstead Health Clinic as well. Thank you for streaming us there. Thank you, Dave Sleep. Very much appreciated. And I hope you've had some information that's of benefit to you there. I think both our subjects today, sleep and exercise, do pretty much tie into mental health pretty well. So all the very best to you. Take care and good afternoon.